Hello, Steve. I'm not hearing you at the moment.
Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. Yes, I was a muted malfunction there. But anyway, you were Steve Wyss and Simon Holden. Hope everyone's doing really well. Simon, great to have you here.
Great to be here, Steve.
How is it going?
It was going great until the team have decided to play a series of pranks involving microphones, false starts. That's the sort of thing that is played on me. But I asked for it, Steve, so it's great to be here. Great show. Lots to go through.
Yeah, loads to discuss today. Back end of the international break. We're going to get your thoughts, Simon, on the World Cup outright again. Been asking loads of the handicappers this week about that. We are going to have a look ahead to the Premier League weekend as well. Yeah. And, of course, with you being on the show, we are going to be looking at the BMW Championship Golf, Procore Championship. We've got some three-ball bets and a massive event coming up in 2 weeks' time, the Ryder Cup. We're going to get your early thoughts on that event. So we're really looking forward to that. Welcome in all. Mike, Rick Haley, Ming Chung, good to see you. Barak and Levav as well. And Ian Messina. Adam, posting on X. Welcoming everyone who, of course, been multi-format these days. On X, on Twitch, Facebook as well. So if you are watching on those formats, do try and message us if you can. We get a lot of people watching on X. I'm not sure how easy it is to actually post the message from there watching that live stream, but Adam has proven that it can be done, Simon. So I
watched on X yesterday and I posted some messages. So yeah, it's fantastic. We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Okay, where are we going to start? We're going to start with what international break, Simon, because I'm going to ask you a question here. I'm interested how much you have kind of focused on this international break, because we're getting to the time of, I say, the year, the sort of the period where everyone is taking note of international teams because the World Cup is on the horizon. You know, it's not like a bog standard international break when there's not a major tournament nearby. These are important now, times for research on teams everywhere around the world. Have you been keeping a close eye, or is it too early to get too serious?
I think you're right. I think we're getting to that time when all thoughts lead to the big finals. It seems very distant, doesn't it, the summer before? But now I'm starting to get focused. I'm going to be brutally honest, Steve. As you know, I'm not the biggest fan of international football until we get to the big event. So I find it a bit of a grind, a bit like what Lewis was saying. I'm so obsessed by the Premier League that I kind of go into a mini depression on these international breaks. But now starting to focus more and more, and I'm going to start betting one team pretty regularly already, I've decided.
Now, several teams have already qualified, of course, for the World Cup. The picture is starting to become clearer. There's several teams in Europe that are not officially in there yet, but have got like 90-95% chance of qualifying. So we know the rough makeup of a lot of the teams, and we're left with this market here. And I've been really interested to hear the thoughts of the guys this week. Yesterday, I watched with Dan and Lewis gave an interesting shout on Ecuador, actually.
Yeah.
Big price, incredible defense there. I've backed Colombia last year. I gave Norway out at 66-1 before they had the 11-1 win. The price has stayed the same, but I think they're looking good to qualify now. At the top end of the market there, Brazil have drifted. Spain plus 450 outright. France and then England. England after a much improved performance, of course. I'm interested to see who at this point in time, if you've actually had any World Cup bets yet, or you've got anything on your sort of radar that you're really strongly close to taking.
Well, what was interesting yesterday with the dangerous Dan Roebuck and Lewis, of course, was he was talking about very, very cogent points about Ecuador. But what came through from both of them, what was really solidified my view about who I've already bet and who I'm going to be betting and really getting stuck into, was they really talked about the drift on Brazil and Argentina. And, you know, these two powerhouses, we always think of a World Cup in the Americas as they're going to be first and second favourite, don't we? But it really is a kind of sign of the times that Argentina, the aging team, plus 900, and Brazil, who look at a kind of shadow of their former selves. And I'm beginning to think more and more that Spain at plus 450 could be one of the great anti-post football bets of recent times, Steve. I mean, they're only going to get better than they were 2 years ago. They've got that mixture of senior stars and young players that are improving. I don't think they've got anything to fear from the European teams. And I mean, the sort of bleeding obvious is that if the American teams are, the South American teams are not what they were, given those odds and given the sort of visual clues of watching them, then really, who's going to be able to stop them at that price? I think they're a great bet. I really do.
I think they're the right favourite now. Brazil were vying on favouritism, of course, even before this international window. I don't really see what's changed there. All right, they lost to Bolivia. It was a nothing game for them. Someone did point out if it was the original World Cup qualifying before the expansion, then Brazil wouldn't have qualified automatically. They would have finished fifth and gone into the playoff. You can't compare it because everyone knows the rules have changed. But maybe losing to Bolivia has made people realise, hold on, this isn't the Brazil that we used to know. Argentina plus 900 now. I actually think that's a little bit on the big side. This is a World Cup that's outside of Europe as well. Yeah. But Spain are the best team, easily for me the best team in international soccer right now. And I think one of the main reasons is the way La Liga gears up towards it. I was looking at clubs that are affected by international caps and international call-ups over the whole window. And the La Liga clubs, apart from Real Madrid, Barcelona, they're not affected much at all. And it's because so many domestic players play in La Liga. They develop these players. And the competition to get into that squad is so serious. So Spain are plus 450.
The squad. Yeah, the depth of that squad. You know, if you look at some of the other teams and you say 2 or 3 major injuries would scupper their chances. I'm not saying Spain are going to want to have 2 or 3 major injuries, but they look like the squad, the nation that could go in there, you know, with issues and still win this. So if you're going to bet now on that, I can only see that price tightening. And of course, you know, your Ecuadors and your Norways, if you go heavy on Spain, there's nothing to stop you dropping a couple of savers on them at monster prices. I think this might not be the most difficult World Cup to win. And I really don't fancy England at all.
Really?
No, I don't see, because every time we don't, they'll get to the semis. And then it just won't happen for whatever reason. I just think we get locked in. They're always over bet. It's always going to be the year. Now, of course, there are other countries, you know, if you're German, you think this is going to be the year. That's not the English disease. But, you know, it happens time and time again. I think Spain have too many good players and they would beat England. France, I think, are better than England as well, but I don't think they're as good as Spain. And, you know, if Brazil and Argentina are past glories, then I think there's something to get stuck into.
I mean, I must say, I've been critical of England quite a lot, but they did answer a few questions against Serbia. And I'm going to see how it goes with Thomas Tuchel. I still think he's probably a good one-game manager. But let's wait and see there. You're right, something usually does kind of go wrong with England.
What would Spain have done to Serbia, though, Steve?
Well, I don't think it would have been too much different in the scoreline, would it? 5-0. No. Probably would have been, but it's more like when England play some of the more smaller teams. I think the attitude sometimes does stink a lital bit, and that's the manager. The manager's got to get on top of that very, very quickly. But he's maybe starting to find a couple of players who maybe play better at international level than they are for the clubs, like Madueke. I'm starting to think Emil Heskey used to be like that, didn't he? Maybe he could find a couple of players that work for him. Barak has said Senegal at 151 looks good. Their squad is insane. That's an interesting shout. I've not even looked at the African teams really, not to win the World Cup anyway. When the side markets come out, I would. Lots of questions about Ange at Nottingham Forest. We will talk about that. Don't you worry. We're going to talk about the Premier League and Ange and the next manager stuff and anyone like that.
I'll tell you what, on the World Cup, Steve, something that I've thought for a while now. In terms of the hosting, you know, if this was in Brazil, if this was in Argentina, but it's not. It's sort of dual hosting, isn't it? It's going to be very decompartmentalized. It's going to be here, there, and everywhere. And I just wonder if that'll take away a bit of the edge of the South American teams.
The schedule is massive, right? Yeah. Because I've worked it out. There's going to be some teams based in Mexico, some teams based on the west coast of USA, some on the east coast. And the certain schedules, if you're drawn in a certain group, it's horrible. There's a lot of distance to travel, by the way, between time zones, and it's going to be really hot on, especially east coast of USA. I did look at the draw, and it's really, really important what sort of group you're in, because small margins do matter in these sort of things for sure.
But you're not going to have that home momentum, have you? With it being based in one country, if it was in a Brazil or an Argentina, if it was in a European, it's going to be here, there, and everywhere, disjointed. It's not going to have a central base in a sense. I just think that might also take away the edge of the South American teams.
Real Brandon King, yes, Nathan Joyce did like Argentina at those sort of odds. He says they're better than Brazil. Villa fan says, with the exception of Brazil, I don't think many teams win the World Cup outside of their own continent. Spain could do that. Spain host the next World Cup, of course. Again, I think there's like 5 hosts of the next World Cup, Simon, in 2030.
I'm not a fan of that.
It's absolutely bonkers. Like 4 different continents or something along those lines. Maybe that's the way things are going to happen in time. I'd be interested in what Spain do kick off to win the World Cup at the start of the tournament. I think it will be shorter than plus 450. I will be honest. I think it could even be.
I can't see it going any other way than short.
Yeah, it can't go bigger, surely, unless there's big injuries, which is that can be.
And Steve, what about my exclusive reveal after 8 World Cups in a row?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, right, I would have put money on 2 nations that you would back. You still might back one of them, but there's 2 nations that you normally are very, very strongly in favour for. And that would be Portugal and Belgium. Portugal 11-1, by the way, with Bet Rivers. And Belgium, I'm having to go quite a way down the list here, where Belgium are 70-1 with Bet Rivers. But you're not interested.
8 World Cups, 8. I'm older than I look. After 8 World Cups, I have decided, and it's been difficult for me and my family, this Steve, and those around me, to finally quit the Belgium train. I've had enough. It's caused me so much financial and spiritual pain that Belgium, you're on your own, boys. Now, of course, there will be a huge movement now to go out and bet them at 70-1, knowing that the other cardigan has quit the Belgium World Cup train. But you can only go on so long. We were saying earlier, there is an element of these every 2 year, every 4 year, where you do get an affection for a country, but you can stay on the train a bit long, Steve. And I've been on it since before you were born.
Do you know what, Simon? When I started work at Football Radar in London, this was 2010, and there were at that stage Belgium were nothing great, but there was an analyst who worked there, and his name was Zahir. If he's watching, I hope he's doing really well. And he said, Steve, you've got to watch out for the Belgium over the next decade. They are going to develop an incredible squad, incredible talent, that's going to peak about maybe 2018, he said. And he said, you'll watch out for them. And he was spot on. That was their window, though, for Belgium. That was the window, sort of 10, maybe even 12 years it extended to. It's gone. The window shut on that.
That window generation. Smashed over my head and Zahir's about 8 years ago.
So yeah, it's a
over.
Shame for them. 3rd place, I think they got. That was the best finish. I mean, they've had a good run in that period, to be fair. It's not like they've been knocked out group stages and stuff. So they had a good run for their money. But that's the way.
But my bank manager rings up and says, I know they played well, but you still got to pay the money back. So they haven't delivered what I needed.
Dan Roebuck, good to see you. He said we're set for a surprise winner. Well, let's see. I mean, there's a lot more nations in the World Cup this time. Byron says until Martinez is fired, Portugal isn't winning anything. Belgium are diabolical, says Blinker God. Shane says Netherlands are a trading play in the outright market, and he would take Spain at 7-2. ZT, good to see you. Tristan Wiggle, what about Spain? One of the few recent teams that could beat Spain. Portugal are 11-1, and they will have their backers, no doubt about it, in this World Cup, won't they, Simon? So I think their price looks about right, though, if I'm being honest. Maybe even a smidgen on the short side. Germany are 12s. Yeah.
Or Netherlands, a bit bigger.
Yeah, Netherlands 18-1. Italy 30-1. I couldn't go near them, by the way. They might not even qualify.
No.
They should be in the playoffs still, but
what a slide to obscurity for a great nation, isn't it? Terrible.
In World Cups, it is. How they won that Euros is beyond belief.
Well, that's even weirder, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely crazy. There are going to be some bets today, Dave, a bit later on in the golf. But now we are going to talk about, actually, we're going to talk about the newsletter because the Insider's due out tomorrow. A new look Insider, slightly different format in terms of the picks now on that. But there's going to be some very, very strong selections going forward. Let's just put it out there now. I really am confident in in my Premier League play for the Insider this week. It's in the Everton game, actually. I won't reveal it, but I really love that play. Really love it. And there's a few good bets on there this week, I must say. Do sign up for free. You'll get 2 newsletters a week, including the bumper Insider plays on the soccer, sometimes tennis, some American sports as well now. It's a great addition. Totally free. Doesn't cost you anything. That's all. So do sign up. Premier League then is back at the weekend, Simon. It feels like a really long break, actually, with especially after the transfer deadline day and stuff. So those are all the fixtures on the card. We're going to be back actually on Saturday, Betting Weekly Live, remember, at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Simon's going to join me with Jack Wright as well. So we're going to really get the latest team news and stuff for the early kickoff games on Saturday. But just going through this card, Simon, I asked you to pick out a couple of bets for us early in advance here. We'll start with Everton, the team that you support. Everton against Aston Villa, plus 138 favourites here, Everton. Villa plus 195 and the tie plus 230. I think I messaged you the other day, actually, that Leeds' win against Everton first round is looking better and better as the rounds go on because Everton are getting better. I'm quite impressed, quite like what I see. Aston Villa have been a big disappointment so far. They've got a good manager, but what can he do during an international break to get Aston Villa firing better? And will they be improved, do you think, this weekend?
Well, I don't want to upset Villa fan. And I gave Villa as a big price to win the league. I had 2 strong pre-season bets. I'll explain why one of them I'm very excited about, and one of them I'm extremely worried about, and that is the Villa bet. Now, I'm close to somebody close to that club. Let's just say no more than that. And I can pass on, Steve, that all is not well at Villa Park. There are some serious issues at that club. Anybody who watches it can see that. And I actually put in the chat yesterday, it would not surprise me if Unai Emery walks away from this job. I'll leave it at that. I think a key issue for Villa is that McGinn has been so good for the last 3 or 4 years, and he suddenly looks to have gone. I watched him closely. Now, one thing you'll notice about John McGinn is that, he's the player who breaks up the play. He's the guy who gets it to the Yuri Tillemans and the playmakers. Now, he has struggled, and I don't know if you've noticed this, Steve, but Villa don't seem to ever have the ball anymore when they're playing. It's a big turnaround. So that's a huge problem in midfield because Tielemans is a great player and they've got some really good midfielders, but they're attacking midfielders and they're just not getting the ball. Now, if McGinn isn't fit, that could be a reason, but there's a feeling within the club that this may be one season too far for him. And I think Emery's unhappy with the players that have left. He's unhappy with the people who he didn't get. We see the striker. What's the name of the striker, Steve? Getting old.
Watkins.
Watkins, that's it. Right. Now, Watkins, I said at the start of the year, if you get the Watkins of 2 years ago, it's going to be exciting. If you get the Watkins of last year, Villa are going to be in trouble. Well, so far, we've got the Watkins of last year. He's got no confidence. He used to always get one-on-one with a goalie and try and blast it in the far corner. If you watch him now, Steve, all he does is just try and get it on target. He seems to be a player in a real crisis of confidence, and it all adds up, I think, to some more misery at the weekend. I mean, I would never have thought I'd be saying this because I was very negative about Everton. But from what I've seen, I think Villa are in for 90 minutes of pain at the new ground. And Everton look upwardly mobile, and Villa look in big trouble. And like I said, all is not well at that club behind the scenes.
I generally cannot remember a time when you have suggested that Everton are a bet. Like, honestly, in the
I've got some more black and white film of me doing it, I think.
But that just shows you. And you're more usually on the pessimistic side, as we often are as fans. Me and you quite similar. I'll talk about Leeds in a minute. But I have to say here, I do agree with you. I think from what we've seen, Aston Villa really can't really be bet on. And you said that they've not had much of the ball. They're not even shooting enough. I mean, that first game, I got badly done the first game against Newcastle because it looked a great spot. Didn't it look a great spot for Villa first game? Didn't have a shot until 50th minute along those lines. And then, you lose to Brentford, which is obviously quite a poor result, and they just haven't looked themselves. So I think they will react at some point. They've got the likes of Burnley and Sunderland soon on the card, and they will respond at some point. Emery's too good not to, but if he gets frustrated, I know they've had problems with the financial side, getting the signings they wanted. Had to lose Ramsey for that sort of thing. Ranjiv said Villa are just not having that squad depth to challenge, and he's kind of right probably in that regard.
The next manager to leave, market, he's a runner in that. I think. Well,
it's a shame that Bet Rivers haven't got the odds up yet for the next manager to leave because there was a casualty this week. We're still, but I mean, there's several candidates. I think there'll be 4 or 5 managers gone before Christmas in the Premier League. Personally, I'm just listing a few off the top of my head here: Graham Potter, Daniel Farke, the Wolves manager, Amorim, possibly Emery, Marco Silva, who I think would kind of happily leave Fulham if a good offer came in from elsewhere. Who am I missing? Scott Parker, Keith Andrews. They're all at risk. Glasner might walk even.
There's a possible scenario on that score. If Unai Emery were to walk, which I think is a distinct possibility, protect his long-term reputation. If Man United were to be losing games and he suddenly was a free agent, that isn't the worst shout in the world.
Yeah, I do. I'm definitely keep my eye on that market for next manager out when it will come out soon, because there was the first sacking of the season, or first manager to leave this season. It was Nuno Espirito Santo at Nottingham Forest. He was 9-1 pre-season to be the first manager out. So I know someone that got on him actually. I just thought someone would go before him, to be honest. But fair play, anyone who did get on Nuno to be first out. And we brought in Ange Postecoglou. There was a lot of comments and questions at the start of the show about how we think that Ange is going to work out at Nottingham Forest. And the first match, ironically, is Ange against Arsenal. As a former Tottenham boss, he's going to get an interesting reception, is he? Minus 286, plus 400 for the tie. Forest at 8-1. Now, I'm going to put it out there first of all. I don't know what the differences were between Nuno Espirito Santo and the actual owner. And it may well have been just untenable in both directions. But on the face of it, it's a really poor sacking in terms of results on the field. And secondly, whilst I do rate Ange, he won a trophy with Spurs. I mean, that immediately, that's a statuesque sort of performance, isn't it? So I do rate him. However, but this club right now, this is a really bad fit. They're like chalk and cheese, Nuno and Ange. Jose Mourinho would have been a far better fit of the free agents available, in my opinion. So the way I see it, there's going to be some huge teething issues for the new manager. But in this first week, I'm not even sure what he could have done to change much anyway, Simon.
Well, I mean, a big 2 pre-season bets for me, the Villa one, that's gone west. However, both myself, Dangerous Dan Roebuck, were on Forest to be relegated. Now, I am extremely pleased on the upside for that bet because I think this is a terrible appointment. And one of the reasons was the Forest overachieving last year, but also I did say in the little video that this owner at Forest does, some very strange things, and at any given time can do even stranger things. And I think it's a terrible bit of business. And I think that Postecoglou is a terrible fit for this club. You say he won a trophy at Tottenham because the record books showed that. But, for 4 months, Steve, we were seeing terrible performances from them and people thinking, is this the day he's going to go? So did he win it because of him or despite him? I'm not so sure. I could see it being not the longest run in this job for him.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, the owner, of course, of Nottingham Forest, Evangelos Marinakis, and someone messaged me, and I said them, one of my mates, I said it was a really bad appointment. His response was, isn't Ange best mates with him? And I'm like, I can't believe this Marinakis even has a mate. Like, he didn't have any friends the way he operates, because he's just. I think.
Well, if he's his mate, he'll be his best mate, because he'll only have one, won't he?
Yeah. Look, he could fire someone at any point. And if it goes south, look, he's quite clear he wants Ange Postecoglou to win a trophy for him at Nottingham Forest. Personally, I think he was really, really angry that they didn't finish in the Champions League spots last year. He expected that after the position they were in at one point. But there was a gross overachievement from Nottingham Forest. Nuno did a brilliant job to get them where they were.
He's a brilliant manager.
And Ange, he's come in and said he wants to win trophies at Forest. You might have to wait for that second season. Blink of God, maybe he wins the Championship next season to keep that run going. But I just think it could be. I tell you one thing, it's not going to be boring though, Simon. Not in the Forest over the next.
No, but I'm certain now that they are a genuine relegation candidate with this appointment.
It's I mean, this week I personally think Arsenal will do a job on them this week.
I mean, he must look at the fixture list for his first game and say, "Thank you, Lord." Because if they get tanked 6-7, it's going to be horrific.
Is there anything else on the Premier League slate that really caught your eye, Simon, this weekend?
Well, I'm doing West Ham Tottenham, so you have to get the newsletter for that. I would say this, but I do think Burnley are a shade big on Sunday. I think they're exceptional at home, and Liverpool. I keep saying it every week that you can't pull it out of the rabbit out of the hat in the 93rd minute every week, and yet they still do it, which is a testament to them. It's a testament to them and their will to win. But I do think Burnley are a shade big there. With all the news about Chelsea, I wonder if Brentford will shorten as well, Steve.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of market moves, and we'll keep you updated on the Saturday show for that. Don't you worry. Fulham Leeds as well. I'll be keeping a close eye on that. Bad team news for Leeds this week. The goalkeeper, the new signing Perry's ruled out. Tanaka and Ampadu are still injured, and the new signing up from Nemecha is a doubt as well. Fulham at minus money is not usually a good idea, but I really think Leeds might struggle in this match personally. I think the midfield of Fulham especially will get really in. I mean, how Leeds just don't look like scoring from open play either against. I mean, Fulham are a pretty experienced Premier League side now, so I'll be sadly looking at probably Fulham 1-0, 2-0 at this point in time.
And you still think Clark's a candidate to go before Christmas?
Well, yeah, because for two reasons. Number one, there were strong rumours that they were going to replace him in the summer, and somehow he survived that. He got quashed. Secondly, I think Leeds are the only team in the Premier League this transfer window not to spend more than £20 million on a player. Their overall spend's fairly, they've spent a few quid, but they haven't really splashed out on anyone big, and they didn't really splash out on the last week of the transfer window, despite a lot of rumours and links and expectations. And that reeks to me of they want to save some money in the kitty for January for a new manager. I don't think they back Farke at all. There are also rumours that the board are not happy that Farke doesn't attract players, doesn't have the pulling power for players like some other managers do. So I think they're just waiting for a spot where if the form goes bad, they're waiting for an excuse, and there will be managers now will start to become available in the market. I like Daniel Farke, and I would love to see him given a whole season to prove what he can do. But it's a ruthless business. And I don't think the 49ers group are daft at all. There'll be a shortlist potentially to replace him. So I think he's a candidate. Don't know when, but if I had to hang my hat on the wall, I think he'd be gone before Christmas. That's just my own personal opinion.
It's such an interesting market because you can have a really good theory and you can get stuck into a manager, and your theory can be right and he can go within your time frame. But somebody goes the night before and scuppers it. So it's a fascinating market.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. Barak Lava, if I ever want a better leagues game, I'll come to you, Steve. You said Unders versus Newcastle and Arsenal win 2-0. Yeah, I try. It's hard, isn't it, when you talk about your own team? You try and not be biased or your emotions get the better of you. when we had Bielsa, I was terrible at betting on Leeds games because I was so invested in it. I feel more in control now of knowing when we're going to play all right and when we're not. And I just see that 1-0, 2-0 Fulham this weekend. I'm not as sort of strong as them other two as I was, because after the international break, it's really difficult. Right, let's move on to golf, Simon, because there's several events going on across the board. The BMW Championship is going on in Europe. We haven't got a graphic for this right now, but live in play, is there anyone that you would back in this event on the DP World Tour at Wentworth?
Well, I'm only a few miles from the coast. They had the mother of all storms. We had it here and the players were taken off, but now it's like brilliant sunshine. I do like the man I think was very unlucky not to get the Ryder Cup call. Harry Hall, the Englishman based in America, playing one of his first DP World Tour events. Finished 4 under today, under the radar, and is the classic golfer to bet on because not enough people think he's as good as he is. And as of yet, the bookmakers don't realise how good he is. But trust me, he's very, very good indeed. So at 4 under, as we came on here, he was 30-1, a quarter of the odds, 5 places. I think that is an excellent bet. Now, Alex Noren, the informed Swede, who won this tournament before with a course record on the Sunday, he's already won on the DP World Tour. He seems to struggle on the PGA Tour, but these raids into Europe for him are successful. He was 28-1. If he's around on Sunday, he's one of those few players that when in contention, his average is better than the standard. Most players in contention drop due to the pressure. That's why Rory McIlroy was so incredible last week. But Noren and Harry Hall, I think you've got two people who are going to be up there and under the radar. Everybody can pick your Rory, Tommy Fleetwood, whatever. They are dominating and taking a huge slice of this market. So get with Harry Hall and Alex Noren. If either of them is within striking distance, you are on a bet.
Yeah, and at the moment, Tom Vaillant, who I've actually never heard of, and Ludwig Aubert lead the way at -8. There's several on -6, including Matt Fitzpatrick and last week's runner-up, Joachim Lagergren. And this is a sort of event where the scores may well get low each round because of the softness nature of the course at the moment and the showers in the forecast. Yeah, so it's one of those where someone might go -8 one day, shoot -2 or 3 the next day, and they're suddenly out of the top 10 because you need to keep being low. So don't be discouraged if your name isn't as high as you want it to be right now, because there's plenty of movement here.
And then when you get to Sunday, the pressure will start, and all these people that have been shooting 65s and 66s that you've never heard of will disappear from view, and it'll be the people who can handle it who'll come through. But yeah, today and tomorrow there's going to be 64, 65s all over the shop.
Now, over in America, the PGA Tour, we've got the Procore Championship, which has got underway about an hour and a half ago. And I mean, I am stunned at how strong this field is, Simon. I mean, what's going on there? Scotty Scheffler plus 220. It's a star-studded field, really, for Procore Championship levels. So, yeah, you know, there's obviously the outright market there. It's going to be a competitive heat, and you've got some 3-balls for us to go at today.
I have, but I mean, this is not usually a great event, the old Silverado. One of the courses with the hardest to hit fairways on the whole PGA Tour, so very much strategic. But the message went out from the PGA that, of course, 2 years ago, when the American team were trounced, the view after was that they came in undercooked. With the American golf season finishing earlier with the FedEx Cup, some of them hadn't played any tournaments for 3 weeks. So it was very clear from the PGA that the people in the Ryder Cup team were expected to be seen here. So that's where we've got this stellar field from. But of course, on Wentworth, for our team, and there is that element of, you know, would the captains like to see people play well, but not have too hard a week? You know, we've got Rory McIlroy already coming in from winning last week. There's a rumor that Luke Donald would prefer him to miss the cut this week than win. So, you know, Scotty Scheffler, of course, wants to win, wants to make a statement after what happened last time. But I do think it's a week to maybe go for the higher price players that are not involved in the Ryder Cup, because they've probably got that edge. But yes, we've got some late 3-balls.
Yeah. Here we go. Eastern time tee-offs here, quite close to each other, actually. I don't even know your bets yet, Simon. So you're going to maybe surprise me or enlighten me here. Cam Young.
Well, a bit of both, perhaps. Yeah.
Cam Young plus 175. Ben Griffin plus 1-1. And this is a really good 3-ball, isn't it? That top one. I don't even know who I would pick here. So who are we taking?
It's the marquee 3-ball. Well, Ben Griffin's been the absolute sensation of the year. I mean, this year will be remembered for Rory doing the Grand Slam. It will be remembered for JJ Spawn, more of him later, winning the US Open after nearly giving up 18 months ago. And it'll be remembered because of Scotty Scheffler being the dominant force of winning the Open. But I do think the actual story, the romantic story, is this guy, Ben Griffin, the bloke who signed insurance a couple of years ago, now is one of the top players. He'll be playing in the Ryder Cup next week. The key here is the strategy. This guy is just a fairways machine. Now, JT, great player, but he can be very inconsistent. Cameron Young back in form, but his game's based on power. So I think Ben Griffin to be the biggest price is the bet. Now, 3-ball bets, I call it Russian roulette betting, hand grenade betting. But I do think over one round, there's no way he should be the biggest price of those three. So he's the big bet. The other two are more leans, but I will be putting him in a little parlay. So the second one, I think we've got Cam Champ.
Cam Champ, Carl Vlips, and Brandt Snedeker.
Yeah. Now this bet, Steve, is more a negative against the old veteran Snedeker and old Carl Vlips, who's about as popular and well known as the guy leading at Wentworth. So Cameron Champ plays well in California. He's playing a lot of irons off the tee, and he's cut down on the power play a little bit. He's a very good player, Cameron Champ. He hasn't gone on. He was going to be a superstar, and he hasn't gone on. But he does win, and this is the time to get with him in this state. So I'm going him at plus 130, and this might not take it. If he breaks par, he might beat these two. So it's not the best 3-ball out there.
And the bottom game?
The last one. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, the bottom game, we've got Eric Cole, Rico Hoy, and Mac Meisner. I think you pronounce him.
This 3-ball might take one man and his dog round with them, but the dog might go home after 9 holes. This is not going to be a glamorous game. Ricardo Hoy is a very, very tricky customer, very good player. Doesn't hit a long way, but that's not the key thing around here. And I think, again, he'll grind these two out. Eric Cole, very in and out. Matt Meisner is he's a talent, but, he's not going to be troubling the scorers on Sunday night. So, again, that one might not take a great deal of winning. But I do think the accuracy of Rico Hoey there will, and he's a good player as well, good putter, good short game. I think this course will set up for him nicely. He might have a good week. So, yeah, there would be my 3. But the top one, I do think Ben Griffin is exceptional. And whatever happens, there's no way he should be the biggest price of those 3.
What's the best bet out of those 3, Simon? Out of Griffin, Champ, or Hoey?
Griffin, by a long way. Yeah.
Plus 188. You make a really interesting point about different golfers having a great record in certain parts of the US, like West Coast, East Coast, Florida swing, etc., Midwest. And I mean, there's lots of reasons for it, but I think one of the main reasons is actually the type of grass, isn't it? That tends
the greens,
to go, so there's definitely something in those trends. Back a golfer in a certain area or country or whatever, and you may well get rewarded in that. Go on, give us a name to win the Procore Championship. There's so many, case for so many here, isn't they? If you had to pick.
I'll tell you who I'd like to win. My favourite golfer, the Pirate King, Max Homa, because he's won this twice, but also he'll be so devastated that having been the top point scorer for the Americans, given on this channel, at a big prize 2 years ago, he's not even within a shout. He switched to Cobra Clubs. It's been a disaster for him. Split with a caddy, but he has played some decent golf, and I'm hoping this could spark him. It'd be wonderful if he were to win his 3rd Procore. It's a big shout, but again, he's not in the Ryder Cup team, and he's got a point to prove. None of the Ryder Cup players at Wentworth or at Silverado have a point to prove, and often in golf that can be a big advantage. So, I'd love to see the Pirate King do the business. I think of the Ryder Cup players at the prices, Ben Griffin's not a bad shout to win this.
Yeah, keep your eye on there on Max Homa at 33-1. This is just the sort of I was going to call it the fish course But it's really just a starter, isn't it, compared to the main event in a couple of weeks' time, the Ryder Cup, the big one. USA versus Europe only happens once every 2 years. And we'll be covering it extensively on this channel. Do follow the at Because We Win Instagram, where you're going to be doing some content. We're going to be having you on Betting Weekly Live for a couple of days as well. But whilst you're on, I had to get your early thoughts. Well, I say early, we're only 2 weeks away now. USA minus 137, the tie 11-1, Europe 150. Let's just talk about that first, because you've got some interesting sort of betting trends that have been going on in this event in the build-up so far.
Yeah, I mean, when we're on the cusp now, they get on the plane on Sunday night, don't they? Interestingly, a couple of weeks ago, two of the bigger sports betting syndicates usually play the theory that I tend to play, and I know Nigel Seeley believes strongly in as well, is the Europe in Europe, America in America. It usually wins. But they bet Europe a couple of weeks ago. And I thought that would have a bigger effect on the market. It did. It did sort of jolt the market a little bit. But in the last 48 hours, the money has come, and the big money has come for the USA, for the home team. Now, an interesting theory where people often go wrong in the Ryder Cup. They do the formula of the world star, I call it, where they say, we heard it 2 years ago in Rome. America have the better players, therefore they're a bet to win. We've seen it before with Europe. Europe have a stronger team, some major winners. Now, it doesn't tend to work out. The home advantage is against it, players playing above themselves. So if you're going to bet on the Ryder Cup, I wouldn't look across the line and go, well, he's better than him, and we've got Rory, and we've got John Ram, we've got whatever. It's often more... It's tougher than just going through the world rankings, so that system doesn't win. However, to counter that, Europe, of course, are the same team that won easily, comfortably, not easily, comfortably. All they've done is change a Højgaard. The rest of the guys are the same.
They could get away with keeping the original Højgaard if they wanted as well, couldn't they?
Because they look so alike, I'm not even sure if they have changed them, to be honest, but there you go. That's one for the DNA boys. So they've changed the Højgaard. So everything that happened there, the ceremonies, these people know each other very, very well. And I think that is going to be a big factor. And I do think if Europe were to get off to a strong first day, I think that they'd go on and win it. But the big bets are going to be released. But I do think there's something that's too big a price for Bet Rivers now. And there'll be plenty of other bets. But I think one now is, I've already mentioned him. I said I'd mention him later. He won the US Open this year. I think he's the most improved player in world golf. And the other thing, he is an absolute tiger. He is the toughest guy. He should have won the Players' Championship, but Rory just edged him out. That is JJ Spawn. We saw him play well at the Open. We saw him at the US Open when the weather turned and all the top stars cracked, including many people on this board, on this graphic. Many people. He came out. He started badly on the last day, and he absolutely killed it through skill, through heart, through guts, all the things you need when the pressure's on. And that, my friends, is JJ Spawn at plus 2,500 to be the top American point scorers. That is wrong. And I can also say that I think he's going to get a lot of game time. A lot of rookies, they're tucked away till the second day in the afternoon. They're kept from it. This guy will be chafing at the bit, and the captain is a huge fan of his. I think he'll go out on the first day in the first two groups. If he does, and if he wins, he may well keep playing. And he's going to be a match play machine. He's one of the players that Luke Donald's most worried about. So if he's the top price, that just can't be right.
Doesn't make sense.
So, yeah,
it's an insult.
He's way too big.
Yeah, absolute insulting price on. He's really impressed me this year, JJ Spawn, I must say. And there's a couple of players I do want to talk to you about, and they are the only two that are absent from playing this week, actually. Sepp Straka on the European side, 16-1 top scorer there. I don't think anyone's really expecting him to be in the mixer. But if we look at Bryson DeChambeau, their second favourite for the top US scorer, plus 500. He's not playing. He's on Live Tour, of course. My issue there with Bryson is surely how he won't play in a foursomes match, will he? Because of the ball situation. You just simply lock and load him with his own ball once a day, and that's it. And I think he only plays 3 matches. So how can he be plus 500?
Well, that's fanboy money. I mean, I completely agree with that point. And let's throw in the other issue on the top American point scorer. Scotty Scheffler, in my view, was the best player in the world 2 years ago. Yes, he's got better now, but he was atrocious. He was terrible. He got beaten 9-8 with Brooks Koepka. He was crying by the side of the green. If there's ever a time to take him on, then it's the Ryder Cup. Some great players, Tiger Woods being one. I'm not saying Scheffler is that man, but he could be. On limited evidence we've got, are not team players. The reason they're great is because they're single-minded, they're selfish. Woods used to sit in the corner of the team room alone with his thoughts. It's too early to say, but I tell you what, I wouldn't be betting Scheffler at that price.
Yeah, I think it's interesting there, the top two in the market. I actually think Bryson will play quite well when he plays. It's just that ball situation where he's like this scientist, isn't he? He has his own ball. You can imagine him just going in the room and saying, "Do you know what, Colin Morikawa? Use my ball, and it's going to go great." But no one's ever played it before, so Scotty, we've seen it with Tiger in the past. It can be difficult. Match play is a completely different beast.
One thing for people to think about is we always say this: the captain tricks the course, the committee tricks the course. In Paris, we were worried about the distance, so Thomas Bjorn had the fairways brought in. Mickelson said it was the most disgraceful thing he's ever seen. They're about 5 yards wide. Now, we've seen the Americans in the COVID game by the lake there, where they cut all the rough down because they had 6 of the top longest hitters in the world, and we didn't. Now, this year, this is already a brutally long course, but if you look at the two teams, actually, strangely, the Americans have got quite a few short hitters, players like Harris English, and we've got Rory McIlroy, who's further than even Bryson. So it's an interesting thing as to how far they push the advantage there and whether it kind of would negate. So I think there's a few reasons to believe this could be on Sunday. This could be on to the last couple of games.
Yeah, stay tuned for loads more content from the Ryder Cup.
It's going to be fantastic.
Follow the Instagram account. I put it in the chat there if you've not already. And we're going to be covering it extensively. Here's the latest winner on the channel. Cricket had a great winner. Steve Wyss's betting zoo. We're going to record one later with Jack Wright, actually. So
don't do any golf bets, Steve, because I'm one pet away from the sack.
Yeah. But yeah, so
it's the correct score up in the Ryder Cup, then I'm out of it.
You will be able. Shane is asking a question. You will be able to bet on the winning score margin and handicaps. I don't know if that market's up there yet, but it certainly will be. There'll be loads of markets, Shane. Tons of them. We went
down to the last game with the correct score, didn't we? It was 16-12 and it was 15.5.
And Villafan, I see what you're doing, and I like that one. I like that one from Villafan.
I like that.
That's a great one. Love it.
Now we're all thinking of other ones now.
NFL is on tonight. Thursday night football, Commanders at Packers. And I've just got some breakdown. There were some questions in chat about it earlier. Producer Troy put up one of his bets for the game. But it is 75% of the money is on the Packers for this game, which is quite significant for an NFL game. And 85% of the money on the over-under market is on the over. Most of the notable wages are on the Packers, either -1, -2.5. There's a few even playing it safe and going like +3.5 in that regard, or money line on the Packers. They do seem very, very popular here. I think our fair producer Troy was telling me that the Commanders haven't won in Green Bay since 1986, which is before I was born. It's some record, that one. They don't tend to do very well there at all. But one thing I can say is that we've got a new show on the channel, Betting Weekly, The Edge. We have 2 episodes a week live. Wednesday, yesterday we had Doug on, and then on Friday we got a trio, Doug, Adam, the Bull, along with Dustin Fox. Now, yesterday's show, rewatched that, and the boys do talk about several games for this upcoming round, including that Packers match. So I'll point you in the direction of The Edge, the new NFL show. Do give it a watch because there's some great handicappers on this channel. So, it was a really exciting start to the NFL season. And I'm looking forward to it, Simon. I must say, I do get involved with the NFL quite a bit. And,
I love it.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? But just looking back here, Shane, Green Bay Packers are always a winning margin, 1-12 bet team. Real Brandon King, if you can get the Packers -3, it's worth a pick. So Packers do seem popular based on the trends, based on the money, and stuff like that. There was a lot of unders actually in week 1 of the NFL. Neil Channing was on about that on the dojo. So be interesting to see if if it turns around this weekend or not. The defenses, have historically been known to be on top of it in the first few rounds of the NFL, while those offenses get going. But Simon, I look forward to Saturday with you. Betting Weekly Live, 9 a.m. with me, you, and Jack. So do join us for that. Jack's on tomorrow again with me on Betting Weekly Live, and the Betting Zoo is going to be with Jack as well this week, which I'm going to record immediately after this. So thanks
me and
so
Jack
much.
are sharing these glasses at the moment, so I'll pass them to you when we've finished, and then he can wear them for the zoo.
That's going to be
great.
I'll
need them back for Saturday, Jackie boy.
But thanks again, Simon, for all those thoughts on various different sports today. Best of luck with those plays. And as a reminder, that best bet that you gave out, Ben Griffin in the 3-ball today, I'll just give it out now again for those who are joining late or want to see it again. 4:11 Eastern time. Cam Young, Ben Griffin, Justin Thomas. It's Ben Griffin was the bet there, and Cameron Champ in that second matchup, and Rico Hoy in the third one there. Those tee off in about 4 hours time, 5 hours time. So plenty of time to get on them. Thanks so much, Simon.
I'll make a prediction with everybody, Steve. Come the very first shot of the Ryder Cup, JJ Spawn will be shorter than he is now for top American, because people are going to realise he's a great bet.
Get on him now, 25-1, JJ Spawn. Who's going to hit the first tee off in the Ryder Cup? That's something we'll have to think about that one, I think, won't we? But people bet on that.
JJ Spawn.
JJ Spawn. Take care, everyone. Gamble responsibly, cash those winners, and we look forward to a really, really big betting weekend here on the channel. Take care.